Hi, my name is Tom Heffel, and this channel is all about helping students learn chemistry. In today's video, day 2, we're doing multi-step conversions. Now, in the previous video, we did single-step conversions where we moved from the base unit to a prefix or a prefix to the base unit, and it only took one step. But if you look at the first two examples here, we're going from one prefix to another prefix, and therefore it's going to take us more than one step. Now, we're still going to use our conversion sheet from the last video. So if you need to screenshot this for reference, you can. And we took some notes just kind of explaining how today we're going to go from one prefix to the base unit, and then the second step, we're going to go from the base unit to the other prefix. So let's jump in it with these 4 examples on how to do multi-step conversions. So in this first problem, we're going to convert 4.6 kilometers into centimeters. And we start out the problem exactly the same way. We're going to put our given 4.6 kilometers in the upper left-hand corner of our train track. Okay. Now, we're going to convert these kilometers, so we need to get rid of them. So whatever's up here, we're going to bring downstairs in order for them to cancel out. Okay. Now, we don't have a conversion factor that sends kilometers directly to centimeters. That would be too much memorization. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert the kilometers to the base unit and then repeat that same process one more step to get to the other prefix. So just like we brought the kilometers down, we're going to take the base unit and we're going to bring it down in order to cancel it out. And then we're going to take this base unit to the other prefix, being centimeters for this particular problem. So kilometers to meters and then meters to centimeters. So we're going to need 2 sets of conversion factors in order to do that. The first one is going to be kilometers to meters. So we look at our sheet here, and right here we got kilometers to meter, 1,000 meters for every 1 kilometer, 1,000 meters for every 1 kilometer, and then centimeters to meters. So we look it up right here, 100 centimeters for every 1 meter, 100 centimeters for every 1 meter. Remember, we multiply on the top and we divide on the bottom. So I'm going to grab my calculator and put in 4.6 times 1,000 times 100. And I'm going to get my answer of 460,000 centimeters. Okay, so let's see if you can do this one on your own. You might want to pause the video right here, try it on your own, and when you come back, I'll be working on the problem. Okay, so for problem number 2, the given is 8.31 decimeters. So I'm going to put that in the upper left-hand corner. Okay, and same thing. I don't have a conversion factor that goes directly from decimeters to millimeters. So I'm going to convert the decimeters to the base unit of meters, and then meters to the other prefix, which is going to be millimeters. So prefix of decimeters to my base unit, and then base unit to the other prefix, which is going to be millimeters. And now I need to look up these 2 conversion factors on my sheet. If you look it up, the decimeters is 10 decimeters to 1 meter. If you look up the millimeters, okay, it's going to be 1,000 millimeters for every 1 meter. So in my calculator, remember, we're going to multiply on the top and we're dividing on the bottom. I tend not to worry about ones because anything multiplied by 1 is the same thing. Anything divided by 1 is the same thing. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 8.31 divided by 10 times 1,000. So 8.31 divided by 10 times 1,000 gives me an answer of 831 millimeters as an answer. Okay. Now the next problem requires you to think a little bit. Okay, so it's saying how many meters from goalpost to goalpost. And we're talking about a football field. So a football field is typically 100 yards, but there's an end zone that's 10 yards on both sides, and that's where the goalposts are. So from goalpost to goalpost, for problem number 3, we have 120 yards as the given. Okay, and as you can see, this is an English unit. Okay, now for my class, my students don't have to memorize any type of English units, conversions. So I give them the English conversions, but I do expect them to know how to use them. The only thing that my students have to memorize are the metric conversions that you see on this little cheat sheet here, or on the notes that they took the other day. So how do we get from yards, okay, to meters? Okay, well, I'm going to take a look at my help. Well, from yards, I can go to feet. So that's going to be the first step, is going from yards to feet, and there's 3 feet to a yard. Okay, and that will get rid of my yards. And then I can go from feet to inches. Right, here's the conversion between feet and inches. 12 inches to every foot. And then from inches, I can go to centimeters. And there's 2.54 centimeters to every inch. Okay, and then when I'm in centimeters, to get to meters, this is where I'm going to use the metric conversions that I make my students memorize. Okay, so I'm going to go from centimeters to meters, and that's 100 to 1. So I'm going to take 120 times 3 times 12 times 2.54 divided by 100. So I'm going to put that in the calculator. I'm going to put in 120 times 3 times 12 times 2.54 divided by 100. And that's going to give me an answer of 109.728 meters. The yards cancel out, the feet cancel out, the inches cancel out, the centimeters cancel out, and I'm left with meters as my final answer. Okay. Of course, same thing as the last one. Okay. You might want to pause it after you look at the question, try on your own. When you come back, we'll be looking at it, but the problem is going to be how many seconds are in 0.25 years. Okay, and that's going to be a little bit challenging, so you have to know your time conversions. Okay, so I'm going to put 0.25 years in here, and I'm going to start converting. Okay, and if you worked on this problem, you went to months, or if you went to weeks first, you probably got the wrong answer, because if you convert to months first and then try to go to days, well, there's a different amount of days in every month, so you can't do that. If you try to go from months to weeks, there's not exactly 4 weeks in each month either. There's a little bit more than 4 weeks in each month. If you try to go to weeks initially from years, you might say 52 weeks in a year. It's still a little wrong, because there's 52 full weeks in a year, but it's actually a little bit more than 52 full weeks. So the best thing you can do is go from years to days. Okay, and we know that there's 365 days in a year. Okay, and then days to hours. We know that there's 24 hours in a day. And then hours to minutes. There are 60 minutes in an hour. And then minutes to seconds. And there's 60 seconds to a minute. So if I go into my calculator and I plug all this in, of 0.25 times 365 times 24 times 60 times 60, I'll get 7,884,000 seconds. Now, if I was being really, really particular, we could say that there's 365.25, a quarter, okay, of a day, because as the Earth rotates around the sun, it's not a full 365 days. It's 365 days and a quarter, right? Okay, and after 4 years of getting a quarter, that's how we get a full day on our leap year. But for this exercise, 365 days a year is perfectly fine to give us our answer in seconds. So that is how you do multi-step conversions. And tomorrow, we're going to talk about how do we do these conversions when our units are squared or cubed.